The men's Final Four is one day away. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I am your host, Noah Love, and today we will be talking about the men's Final Four. UConn, Illinois, Arizona, Michigan. It goes down tomorrow night in my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana, Lucas Oil Stadium. Hopefully, I'll be in town. Uh, j- just for that game. These are two intriguing matchups, and we're going to preview it right here on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Okay, this may be a little bit of a shorter episode because it's only going to be two games, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. Okay, UConn and Illinois. This is the big one. The storylines, Hurley, Underwood. Hurley, their third Final Four in 4 years in terms of men's basketball programs. They've been the standard bearer for these past 4 years. You look at Illinois, Brad Underwood's been trying to break the door down. He has. You look at Terrace Reed Jr. of UConn versus that Illinois front line, the stud freshmen in these games. Keaton Wagler, Braylon Mullins. Obviously, Mullins hitting the shot to get Duke, to beat Duke to get here. And Illinois, look, this is going to be if there was ever a home court advantage in the Final Four, Illinois is going to have it. They're going to pack this out. Uh, this is Illinois' first Final Four since 05. This is the number one offense on KenPom in terms of offensive rating. Illinois has so many guys that can beat you. To me, can UConn grind out enough stops on the defensive end? Can they contain Wagler? Stojakovic comes off the bench. Can they contain him? You know how Illinois likes to stretch you out and go five out. They can't. To me, that's going to be the key because to me, UConn, you don't want this to be a track meet. And UConn, they usually don't get into track meets. I mean, if you look at majority of their games, the UConn wins games in a grinded out style. When you look at Dan Hurley in these two, and we've talked about how this team isn't as good as just two national title teams. But if they were to somehow win a national title, this will probably be Dan Hurley's greatest accomplishment / coaching job, I think, in his career at UConn. Yet you look at Illinois, Brad Underwood, if he wins this game, he's a game away from winning his first ever national championship, and I believe it would be Illinois' first ever national championship. So, again, this is key. Again, keys to the game. Terrace Reed against that front line. Terrace Reed is very big and he's very strong down there with the ball. The issue that he could have is maybe Illinois' length could be an issue. I think having a player like Alex Karaban, who's been a starter, who is a starter, who is one of your best players, who it's so key because he's been a major part of the other two national title teams. I mean, he's been a major part. And look, it's his third Final Four in 4 years. I think having a player like him for UConn, I think is huge because look, respect to Illinois, even Kylan Boswell, he has not been on this stage. Caravan has. I think for a team that is kind of young, but with even some veterans that haven't been here before, like Solo Ball, what hasn't really, he was, I believe he was on the national championship team, but didn't play a lot. But you know, Terrence Reed, you know, just kind of transferred in last year, and his development's been great, but hasn't been on this big stage before, even when he was at Michigan. So I do think that experience does give you an edge. I think I've talked about Illinois' ability to shoot the ball all season, and I think Illinois can is dangerous to me because they can beat you in so many different ways. We've talked about it. They can beat you in a grinded out game. They can beat you when the tempo is fast paced. They can win a heavyweight fight, slugfest. Illinois can beat you in any type of way. That's why they're here. And they've had to win games. Whereas they've had to win all types of games like that. To me, UConn, they're only winning one way, which is a rock fight, sort of. I'm at the point with this game where I just trust UConn and Dan Hurley. It's kind of the blind faith thing. But in basketball, anything can happen. I think the key, Kylan Boswell is going to be the key. I think if Illinois wants to win this game, his, I think him being a true point guard, because UConn, I'm gonna be real, doesn't really have a true point guard. I mean, I know Smith comes off the bench, but if you look at Demery and you look at it's not really a solo ball. Like they're not really true point guards. I think that would be key. Again, the ability to shoot the ball. Now, I don't think UConn will shoot that poorly. That I don't think they're gonna start 1 for 18. Like that just, and they were getting really good looks in that game. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I think UConn is going to have to knock down about 9 to 10 threes to win this game. Now, will they do it and can they do it? Yes. I think, again, it's going to come down to late in the game. Stops. Key clutch stops. Can you grind out a stop? Can you stop Illinois from getting on the glass? Because they can pound you on the offensive glass. Can you stop that? I think there is going to be. I think this game, to me, it is going to come down to the defensive stops of UConn. Can UConn grind out enough defensive stops? And if they cannot, I believe Illinois is going to win this game. However, I believe I'm going to go UConn. I just believe in Dan Hurley. For me, it's a blind faith thing. I picked Illinois in my bracket to get to the Final Four, but for me, I just think Dan Hurley's going to find a way to do it again. I just think UConn is going to find a way to make the national championship game. I think they are going to find a way to grind it out. It's going to be a close game. I just think UConn, there's something to be said about championship pedigree, and they showed it against Duke. They've showed it against Michigan State, a calmness in these situations. And then if you look at Illinois, the one thing about Illinois' run, I'll say, is they've controlled a majority of these games late to where it's not like a 2 point game was like 3 minutes to go. Like, I'll say UConn's been in, like, they controlled the Furman and UCLA game, but then the Michigan State game. That one, it's late, it's nip and tuck, and UConn has to dig that one out. Obviously, they needed the miracle against Duke, had to make shots late. I will say this: their closest game of the tournament is what? The Houston game, but that Houston game, they controlled it. I mean, they were up like 10 with 2 minutes left. The Iowa game, they're up like 8 with a minute left. So and that kind of speaks to their dominance. Fair, but I just think I trust UConn more in a late game situation than I trust Illinois. And that's not knocking Brad Underwood or Wagler. There's something about Hurley and UConn in these spots. Unless they're playing a Patino led team or something like that. And even if they are, you just gotta give them the blind faith. You just gotta be like, hey, I think they're gonna win. And that's what I think they're gonna do here. I think UConn's gonna pull it out. Now, the second national semifinal, it's a heavyweight fight. It's Arizona, who is 36-2. Michigan, who's 35-3. Two of the three best teams all season. You can make the argument the two best teams all season. May versus Lloyd. That Arizona front line versus the Michigan front line. Elliot Cadeau versus Jaden Bradley. The depth of Arizona versus the depth of Michigan. Folks, this is going to be this feels like Ali and Frazier. I'm going to be real with you. This feels like like one of these fights that you're going to tell your kids about. Potentially. These two teams are so evenly matched across the board. They are built so similar. The difference is, here to me could be a difference. And this is going to be key. I think Arizona will get into a spot where they don't shoot a lot of threes. But they're very efficient. And they're very efficient. They use their size to their advantage. They get the mismatch. Michigan shoots a lot of threes. And depending on the night they make them. If they make like 12, against certain teams, it just feels like you have no chance. Against most teams. I don't feel like that against Arizona. I feel like they can make 12 threes and still lose. Because that's how good Arizona is, and you got two juggernauts here. I also feel like there is an immense amount of pressure on Arizona. And here's why. I understand Michigan in the brand, and them getting back here is great. And I get it, they haven't won since 89. Arizona hasn't won since 97, and it feels like, okay, if not now for Arizona, then when? There's the rumors of Tommy Lloyd, going to UNC. I just feel like there is a lot of pressure. And I said it coming into a tournament, they're going to feel it. Because if this ain't the team to do it, then I don't know what team they're going to do it. This is their best teams. It's what, the Richard Jefferson, Gilbert Arenas team? Like, that's how far back we have to go here. I think that team that made the Natty like in the 2000s. So this is going to be a very intriguing game. To me, the difference is going to come down to the depth in the bench. Obviously, who can you put on Lindenborg if you're Arizona? Who do you put on Kobe if you're Michigan? To me, if they that three big lineup, Lindenborg, Johnson, and Mara. To me, it's going to be interesting. Do they run Kobe at the four in Krivas, or do they run Pete at the three? I was just saying to match their size. Do they run that, Awaka, and Krivas? Like, now you have Ivan, who could just the European who could just straight up shoot the lights out the ball, and obviously Bradley and Burries. To me, these games come down to guard play, and I think this is the game that not having LJ Kaysen could bite Michigan. I think LJ Kaysen giving them that extra lift and something off the bench in this specific game, them not having that could cost them. Because Arizona has all their guys. I believe that they have De La Rosa off the bench, who again is a starter anywhere else in the country, can come in and give you 15 to 20 points. Then you've got Burries, and then you've got Bradley. You have Arizona, to me, as the perfect mix of the veteran and the freshman right now in this game. It's going to be interesting to see the chess match between these two coaches as well, Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May. See how how they coach them, what lineups, what adjustments they make. How does Arizona? Because to me, the key for Arizona is how do you slow down Lindenborg and how great he's been. How do you slow him down? Can you slow him down, or how do you at least, contain him? Like how you do that, and then off the bench, obviously you've got the Gale and McKinney. It's just, to me, Michigan all year has used their size, and they've really been able to impose their will on everybody and anybody. To me, in some games, teams just get tired, and I think Arizona is the one team that they can try to do it to, and it may not work, and it won't work because, or may not work, I should say, because Arizona's got that size too. They got that body too. They can go big too. I think this game comes down to the guard play. And I think that's where Arizona takes it. I think Burries and Bradley, I just think you got De La Rosa off the bench. I just think in these games, when you get to the Final Four, to me, it's about your guard play. Like, you can watch the two national semifinals last year. Why did Florida win? Walter Clayton Jr. went crazy. Obviously, Elijah Martin and Will Witcher played well as well, but they were better than Auburn's guards. Why did Houston come back and beat Duke late in the game? Obviously, there were a lot of mistakes by Duke, but you look at LJ Cryer, he made a ton of big shots or big plays in that game. 2024, I mean, UConn was just a wagon. But Bama got there because Mark Sears was great. Purdue didn't get upset in the round of 64 again because of their addition of Lance Jones, and Braden Smith and Lawyer were better than what they were the year before. So you go back and look at these Final Fours, and to me, it comes down to your guard play. And I told you, I picked Arizona in my bracket to win the whole thing. I'm not backing off that pick. I like Arizona to win an absolute thriller. Maybe it goes to overtime, but I just like Arizona. I believe the depth in the guard play comes up big in the Wildcats advance to the national championship game to play the Yukon Huskies, which will be a rematch from November. By the way, Illinois Yukon rematch from November. Yukon won by 15. Very early, both teams were trying to figure out who they are, all that junk. So I think that's an interesting thing to keep in mind for that game. I forgot to bring that up. All right, everybody. This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast, Men's Final Four preview. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until that next time, see ya.